Hey everybody, it's Karyn Bryant. Welcome to the podcast. I'm here with Pete Cummins.
Hey.
Quite the catchphrase he's got, folks. He's been working on that for, it's been, we started this podcast in like April or May, I think.
But that's a very short hey. It's exclusively to me. It's like, hey, and then there's like a little accent. There's a little accent.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, a little accent aigu there. Yeah, so it's that's copyrighted, by the way.
All right, very nice.
You can say hey, you can't go hey.
Hey, it sounds like you've got like something. Hey, oh, like that. There's something bothering you.
Well, I mean that's how I do it. I kind of grind. I grind
like a liver shot.
You know, it's like so.
So, folks, we got Yves on with us today. This is going to be great. He just recently retired. Really a great fighter. He's been around forever.
17 years.
Yeah, like he's some like 66 fights or something like that. And of course, the story with him is that those are the ones that actually made it onto the record. I mean, we think that there's more that just were never accounted for.
Yeah,
totally.
Got in a fight with his parents.
Yeah,
a couple times.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. He's a really good guy, and I just really kind of wanted to talk to him. I've interviewed him before, but now that he's all done, and I just, he's got a great perspective on the fight game, and just a cool guy.
How do you fight for 17 years?
I don't know.
And that's fight professionally.
Professionally,
there was fighting
yes.
growing up.
Yes.
I mean, that's.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He's amazing. He's amazing. So that's coming up. But first, we also want to wrap up UFC 181.
2-0 in my prediction.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so Pete's crowing about the fact that he picked what most people did. Most people, listen.
The Vegas odds.
Robbie Lawler was an underdog going in, but so many people considered him a very, very, very viable option there. Because the last
he's
fight
a viable option. There's only two people fighting.
The last fight, the last fight was so close that I feel like a lot of people were like, yeah, nobody's going to be surprised if Robbie wins it. But that being said, when Bruce said, and knew, we were all like, oh, because I thought they were going to give it to Johnny. I thought Johnny squeaked it out.
It's interesting. I thought Johnny won the first 3 rounds, and I thought Robbie won the last 2, and I thought with the 10-9 point system that Johnny would have squeaked it out.
You thought Johnny won the first round?
Yeah, with the takedown. All right.
Really?
So what rounds did you think he won?
I thought Robbie won 2 and 3. I mean, Johnny won 2 and 3, and like 4 could have been questionable. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's tricky. I thought Robbie definitely won the first round, and obviously we know that he won the last round. So I'm happy Robbie won the fight. Like, I'm happy Robbie Lawler's a champion. I've been a Robbie Lawler fan forever. Like, so it's amazing that after all this time he's a champion. I think it's just awesome. I have no dislike or anything toward Johnny Hendricks. I just think, since it was so close, and you never know how it's going to get scored. Usually, to take the title away from somebody, you got to like really be definitive and really, really beat them. And he didn't. It wasn't so decisive. Obviously, because there's a lot of people.
I think the last 30 seconds of that round, of the 5th round, won him the fight. I mean, listen, in the 4th and 5th round, Johnny was going for that takedown, and it was taking forever, and he wasn't getting it.
Wallenstall.
Yeah, and so that sticks in the judge's mind. The crowd thinks that's boring, and I'm glad that Robbie won because, again, like if that was a fight that's behind a bar, like you say that Robbie won. If that fight goes 1 more round, you say that Robbie definitively wins. I thought because of the point system, Johnny was going to win, but I was actually glad to see Robbie.
Yeah, well, this is what's interesting. The judges, how they did it. Judge D'Amato scored it a 47-48 Johnny Hendricks. Right. Okay, so he gave Robbie only the 1st and the 5th round. Okay, so it's 3-2 Hendricks in terms of D'Amato.
Maybe it was 2, 3, and 4 for Johnny Hendricks.
Okay. Judge Rosales.
I don't have notes.
Judge Rosales gave it 48-47 Lawler. He gave Lawler 1, 4, and 5. Like I said, 4 is the round that's like, I don't know.
Okay,
but clearly 1 and 5. Everybody gave Robbie Lawler round 1.
All right. So.
And then the other one, this is the whole thing, Glenn Trowbridge, this is where it gets dicey. He gave it a 49-46, Robbie. He gave Robbie 4 rounds, which I'm not 100% sure about. He gave Robbie 1, 2, 4, and 5.
Now, let me ask you this.
Round 4, I think, is it.
Do they have to submit for each round?
Yes, that's
submit their scores after each round.
Yes, because that's the whole point. Because otherwise, people, if you finish strong, everybody's like, "Oh, you totally won the fight." They have to score it as you go along. Otherwise,
but how great was the end of the fight when like Robbie like he's still got fight in his eyes? I mean, like talk about earning your nickname.
That's why, ruthless. That's why he's so great. So you know. Conspiracy theorists, we love the conspiracy theorists. They just fixed it so they could have a trilogy fight.
How do you, first of all,
I don't think, well, you pay the judges, they're saying.
You pay the judges.
You don't pay the fighters, you pay the judges. Because think about it, if there's a trilogy fight, it's 1-1. I mean, I would want to watch that fight.
Well, here's the thing. If you're going to pay the judges, then then don't have a 49-46 round. Have a
48-47.
Yeah, and then just and then
pay them off to not be such a glaring.
No, listen. That's the one great thing about the UFC. I mean, there's no bullshit. And first
it's as real as it gets, Pete.
Well, and also like, why do you need to see? We don't need to see a rematch because there's a bunch of great fighters right underneath. So it's like it's stacked no matter what.
I think it could come back around to that, and we know that Rory McDonald is in the mix. Rory lost a very close fight to Robbie Lawler already. It's interesting. We have Tyron Woodley is going to be fighting Kelvin Gastelum. That's coming up soon. We always have Hector Lombard in the mix there. There's a lot of talent at 170. So it's interesting. I also want to talk about the co-main event. We're going to talk about a few things here, but that Pettis, God damn it, he's good. He's good looking. He's
good looking. He's like, come on, you can't have it all.
Everything you hate.
You can't have it all.
He's got it all, though.
I hope his car breaks down. Something's got to go wrong.
He's on the cover of Wheaties. He's living the dream.
Is he on the cover of Wheaties?
Yeah, he's on the cover of Wheaties.
Ooh, see, that's
living the dream right about now.
Is he really on the cover of Wheaties?
He's really on the cover of Wheaties. It's pretty cool. Nobody eats Wheaties anymore, but it's still, and of course, it's iconic.
Bruce Jenner just killed them anyway. You're like, so he's on the cover of Wheaties, so he's going to be somewhat borderline transsexual.
Well, Anthony is pretty. He would make a good-looking girl. I mean, he's pretty.
Yeah, I'm not really even going to comment on that. But,
okay.
But by my silence, I think that speaks volumes.
Yes, I think so. Volumes. But no, Anthony's just so good, and it's funny because when he came back in the octagon, you realize, God, we haven't seen him fight since August of 2013, and he's so flashy. He's got that look. He's so confident. Like he's just a baller. Like you can't get mad at the guy. Like you want to be mad. And I've been a Gilbert fan forever, and I thought it would have been really amazing if Gilbert and Robbie could have won the titles on the same night, and it'd be like the old school.
Well, because that was your prediction.
It wasn't my prediction, Pete. If we go back and watch the tape, I never predicted it. I said my heart.
So you were no contest.
No. I predicted Travis Brown would knock out Brendan Schaub, and I was 100% right. I didn't predict that Gilbert would win. I said my heart would love it if Gilbert would win.
I forgot I predicted the Travis Brown one too, so I believe I am 3-0.
Woo! You hit the trifecta. No, so Gilbert, I knew Gilbert
so you're
was
1-0 in
like
no contest.
No, an uphill battle. If you had put a gun to my head, I would have probably picked Anthony. I just really wanted it for Gilbert. He's been in there for so long. It was like kind of going to be more of the sentimental choice there, but a huge uphill battle. So, and I don't dislike Anthony. The guy's amazing. And again, when he saw him fight, you're like, oh God, that's why he's so good. Yeah. He's so good. He's fun to watch. And his little brother won on the fight card too. Sergio won. It was a good night to be a Pettis. I'm sure at the after party, I'm sure it was a real good night. But yeah, Travis Brown defeated Brendan Schaub, TKO there. Yeah, and then
he took his man card.
He did. Did you see him talk some smack? Supposedly now it hasn't. Maybe by now somebody's gotten it out of him. But up until late yesterday, like Travis wouldn't say what he said to Brendan because after he beat his ass, he leaned over and told him a few things. And I don't think it was, "Hey, can I get your address for my Christmas cards?" it was like a.
Now, do they not like each other?
Well, Brendan was kind of talking some stuff before the fight, and Travis was really ready to shut him up. So don't you remember? He took that man card.
I
think he broke it in half. Yeah.
Broke it in half and shoved.
Right. So that was an exciting fight. I'm real happy for Raquel Pennington. I had done an interview with her a few days before. Definitely still worth checking out, you guys. That's on my YouTube page. She was on The Ultimate Fighter season 18 with the what does it say? What did he say?
you didn't mention both Pettis took home bonuses. So
oh well, they both took home. They took home bonuses.
No, there was a good party.
It was a good party, a good night to be a Pettis. But yeah, so Raquel Pennington, she won her fight with this really ridiculous choke. It was like a
that girl went
choke,
out.
No, that choke was like that was
with
just
no time
mean.
left.
Yeah, right at the bell. Did you see that cut on her forehead? That was huge. It's crazy.
They talk about like the NFL lawsuits that are now coming from like former injured players. Like in the last couple of weeks, we've seen a woman with a torn ear. She's got a scar.
She's like huge.
In like 20 years, the UFC is just going to be getting sued from these like disfigured.
Oh no, Rocky's a badass.
These disfigured old women with like cauliflower ear and a busted nose.
Nah, Rocky.
They never told me I'd be maimed for life.
Nah, I don't think she's bothered by it. She's badass. She's a badass.
Dude. And again, like she had blood all down.
Yeah,
I mean,
baby.
Those female fights those are brutal.
Yeah. But that was exciting. So I thought that was good. And the one that kind of freaked me out was Josh Salmon knocking out Eddie Gordon. Like I did not expect that at all.
I'm trying to remember which
head kick KO where he was laid out for a dude.
Oh, that was a
dude. I was like that. I did not expect. Josh Salmon's had a really tough year, overcoming some injuries, and his girlfriend died in a car accident. Just like random, so he's had might have even been his fiance. He had a tough year, so like he really needed to come back here and get this win. So I'm happy for him, but that was pretty intense. Pretty intense.
You got a really tough segue coming up.
I do. What, to get into Yves Edwards?
Well, from like the
dead girlfriends and sad things. Well, the good thing about fighting, I do feel that people find a lot of happiness through there, and I feel like that was probably pretty cathartic and happy times for him. Transitioning over to talk to Yves now. I mean, this is the thing. The guy's seen it all, the highs and lows, everything but a title fight, basically everything but winning a championship. So we'll talk to him about that. Really, just an awesome guy, and maybe probably is bittersweet now that he's retiring. Right. So we'll get into that. Should I try to make him cry?
You gonna do your Oprah on him? Is it Oprah who makes everyone cry?
I don't know. Was that like a racist thing you just brought up there? Why did it have to be Oprah? How come it couldn't have been Barbara Walters?
No, it was Barbara Walters. You're right. It was Barbara Walters. It was Barbara Walters.
You don't get a car. You don't get a car. No, I'm kidding. That's it.
So let's bring him on.
Okay. All right, folks, we are excited to have him on. Yves Edwards here. He is recently retired from the UFC, but just getting started now with the rest of the stuff in life, and I really appreciate you taking the time. I guess it's kind of an obvious question, but how did you know the time had finally come to hang up the gloves?
Oh, man. After having a really, really good training camp and just not being able to perform and really not really even remembering what happened, Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think I don't know if my chin's not the same anymore, but like I really don't remember much of the fight at all. I haven't seen it, so I remember 4 distinct things from it. Yeah. But so I think when you add it up, I just thought these last couple performances, I just can't keep doing this.
Mm-hmm. And was it especially hard because that was kind of a hometown fight for you? Did that hurt even more? Yeah,
definitely. The thing about that was I asked to fight on the Austin card, this is where I live, and so I really wanted to do that. I'm sorry, I was swallowing. I really wanted to do that, and then to get the kind of support I was getting, from my friends and teammates that I work out with here, and then just the local community, and to just I don't know, people say you didn't let anybody down, but like you feel that way inside yourself, within yourself, and just not to perform, for those folks. That's the thing. I think that's kind of the thing that led me up to making that decision. I just always wanted to perform. Didn't matter to me what the outcome would be, as long as I got to perform and show that I deserved to be there. And then the outcomes is where I always felt the outcome would work itself out. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like I wasn't able to do that. I wasn't able to show why I belong in there. Yeah. And if I can't show why I belong in there, then maybe I don't.
Yeah, that's got to be frustrating too, because I always feel bad for guys when the fight isn't very long, and how much time and effort and heart went into preparing for that. So I could see that would be pretty tough. What did you know, Joe and Sean? What did the guys say when you told them?
Well, I spoke directly to Joe, and he understood, and I think he was actually happy about it. Just in the sense that I've known Joe for Wow. I didn't realize that. I've known Joe for over 15 years, you know. For probably about 18 years, ever since Tito fought Frank.
Oh, geez.
You know, that's when I met Joe Silva. And I think he was just one of those things where it's like, you know, he sees the last couple of fights not going my way, and then that performance, I think, you know, and the guy's seen a lot of fights, you know, so I think, like, it was a genuine, like, that's a good decision kind of thing, kind of speech. But he was cool about it. He was the only person I spoke to directly.
Yeah. So, you know, when you say that you're not too worried about the outcome sometime, and that kind of plays itself out, but at the same time, was there, you know, does it upset you at all that, you know, you fought for so long? We're just talking about, you know, Robbie Lawler getting the title now, which is amazing. Yeah, right? I mean, that was pretty great, right?
That was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, so we were just talking about, like, when you feel like what a long time coming that was, and the fact that he's staying in it that long. Is that something that you know, gets you a little bit, like, says it like, oh man, it would have been great to get a title one of these days out of all this time that I fought? Or do you not even worry about it?
No, that's the biggest thing, you know?
Yeah.
That's, like, the biggest disappointment to me. And that's, again, that also plays into the decision factor. The reason why I wanted to do this was, initially it was, that looks like fun, that looks exciting, I want to go learn that stuff. And when I started to understand it and wanted to compete, it was like, I want to see if I'm the best at this. I want to be the best at this. And you know, you're the best when you're the world champion. You know, there's a marker for that, you know, that we all agree on. And so you're the best when you're a world champion, and that was my goal the whole time I was fighting. And just looking at it, it's like I'm not going to be able to do that at this point, you know. So that's a part of the reason why. I mean, why keep fighting if you're not going to be, you know, world champion, and your performances aren't up to par with what you hold yourself to. So not winning that belt is that's the biggest disappointment in my career. You know, not having a chance to fight for the belt is the biggest disappointment. And so, like, yeah, that sucks. But yeah, I was really happy to see Robbie get the W Saturday night. That was. You know, it's Robbie's a guy. He's a really, really good guy. He's always working hard. You never see the guy unhappy or grumpy. You know what I mean? And like Robbie is like I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's very few guys from that era left. You know what I mean? And Robbie is a world champion now. You know. I was there when Dana found Robbie. Robbie's first UFC fight, Robbie and I fought on a couple of cards together, and Robbie's first UFC fight was like 7 months after my first UFC fight, you know? So it's like, we're from the same era.
Right.
And he's a world champion, you know, 10, 15 years later. I mean, 12 years later, you know?
It's amazing. Yeah, well, I first met him when he was doing Elite XC stuff. So I met him in like 2006 or 2007. And just, you know, really just liked it. I love his demeanor is so cool, and he just throws down. Like he's everything, you know, like everything great about a guy, and he doesn't talk smack, he doesn't worry about the mouth game. He just goes in and does what you expect him to do. And I don't know, it was just a really you know, it would have been amazing if Gilbert could have pulled it off too, because those were the real sentimental favorites, you know. They really were, because Gil's been the same thing. You've known Gil all your life. In terms of fighting.
Gil has been, you know, he's been fighting the best guys and not being heard of until he really got into the UFC. You know, Strikeforce did have its audience, but you know, everybody always felt that the UFC was a big dog. I wanted to see Gil do well, but I'm not surprised by the outcome of that fight. I don't see anybody beating Pettis right now. That was my pick to win, but like, and I have nothing against Pettis. I think that guy was amazing. I wanted Gil to win for the whole sentimental value,
Exactly.
but I thought Pettis would. I thought Pettis would, and he did.
Yeah.
And yes, it's man, that's that era.
Yeah.
Gilbert and Josh, and we're all from that era, and it's changing, man.
Yeah, it is, and that's the thing. Anthony really embodies that whole next generation thing. I mean, he's got it all together. It's so fluid, and he's got the razzle dazzle like all around. It's really hard not to like him. I mean, we were joking before we got on with you. Like, it's every reason to hate him too. You know what I mean? It's like, God damn it, he's got it all. God damn it. But it's the same reason. You can't hate the player, hate the game. Like, the guy's killing it.
Yeah, I mean. That's the thing, man, and I've had I've only had a few interactions with him, but he's always seemed like a positive dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everybody has their personality, but he seems just like a cheery, positive dude, focused on what he's got to do. He's one time he was cornering his brother, and he's focused on that, but he was still, he knew he was the champ, and he knew people were excited to see him, and he still was happy to take the time and for the fans, and that's what I think some people don't understand, but you have to be that way. Just be who you are, just relax, just let it come to you.
Yeah, I've worked with him, a lot over at Fox. He's been on with us a few times. He's always great. He's a real cool guy, and he came on the show after he won the title from Benson, and that is one of my favorite moments so far of working at Fox, because we had him come up right after he won the title, and it was in Milwaukee, and he was talking about how he was going to go visit his father's grave after, and my dad has passed away, so I'm like, oh my God, Karyn, don't cry. And I don't cry very often. You can ask anybody, but I literally was on the air and live TV going keep it together, keep it together, keep it together. It was really emotional, and we're having this real, Kenny's up there, we were all having this real conversation that was incredibly intense, and then later that night he tweeted out a picture of his dad's grave with the belt, and it was oh my God, it was really intense. So yeah, he's got it going on. I do wonder too, though, talking about the next generation, is that something that, when you get in there, has there been somebody, in the last few fights that you had that, all of a sudden surprised you? Because I feel like you've seen everything, but have you seen sort of that next level Matrix stuff now where you're oh snap, these kids are oh, what, wait a minute, what, where did that come from?
In the cage,
Yeah.
No, fortunately not. But it has happened in the gym quite a bit. Guys like Will Brooks and Poirier and these guys. These guys, they've already pretty much established themselves, but they're 25 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. I can't imagine. I just that's the thing. 10 years ago, 10 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, I was the number one of the, top 5 lightweights in the world, and I was 27, 28, just because starting to establish myself.
Right.
These guys have been established for a couple of years now, and they're just kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pettis is 30, but that guy's been Anthony Pettis. But I think he turned the corner after he fought Clay Guida. But I mean, it's a completely different game, and the fact that they're so young and they're established is because kids are doing this stuff at 4 and 5 years old now, 6 and 7.
Yeah.
And this is the first of that generation, I think. The guys that were doing it when they were in high school and middle school. Yeah. And this is the first incarnation of that element of MMA, and I was watching the fights on Saturday night, and it was just it seemed like now that I'm sitting back and I'm not going to be getting in there again. It seemed different. It seemed like this is it's changing. It's it's the next level. It's the next level of guy, then the next generation of MMA coming out.
It's exciting to watch. When you see, for a couple years ago, it was Michael McDonald who came out, and he was 20 years old. And everyone's like, how is this kid this good, and he's only 20? And it's exactly that. It's because at 16, guys like Rory McDonald or whatever, they don't go to school anymore. They just are training all day, all disciplines and stuff. And so, you got this guy who's just ridiculously good at 22.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, man. And it's crazy because I've told people in the past, I didn't expect to see this. This version of MMA in my lifetime, and even in the lifetime of my career, I didn't really notice it until I decided to call it, but that's what's going on. The game is changing, and that's a part of the reason, you know. It's amazing, man. I love this sport, and I'm about to fall in love with it again because it's about to hit another evolutionary hump.
Are you the kind of guy that can go and be a coach now? Maybe it's one of those things where you didn't get your own title, but you could coach somebody to a title?
I would love to, you know what I mean? Just for this last camp, I spent a lot of time sparring with Robbie, and the guy does so much work, you know, and the fraction of a percent that I put into him winning this title is like, it feels like it's like that's a great feeling, because the reason why it's a great feeling is because the guys that you train with, those are the guys that mean everything to you. They're those are my best friends. People always used to ask, how can you go out there and hit somebody and I punch my best friends in the face regularly. You know what I mean? I can do that to somebody else for money. That's not a problem.
Right.
I mean, these guys are like my best friends. I would bleed for these guys, no problem. You know what I mean? I'm talking about Dustin and Mike Brown, Robbie and Thiago Alves, Will Brooks, these kinds of guys, you know? So seeing that, it was amazing. It brought joy to me. You know what I mean? I would love to put in a big percentage of helping someone win a title. You know what I mean? When the time comes, and I think I'm going to have an opportunity to do that.
Nice.
Somewhere down the road, hopefully in the not too distant future, but you know, in the future, maybe a little distant. But yeah, I definitely want to coach some guys and try and help this next generation hit that next evolutionary hump.
Because you got that thug jitsu.
Well, you know, thug jitsu is the modern art of the beatdown, and you know, just because I'm retired, I mean, things are still getting modernized, so thug jitsu is going to have to get modern too, you know. Yeah,
I hear you. You know, it's funny. My daughter is in jiu-jitsu right now. She just got her fourth stripe on her white belt the other day. It's so cute, but it's funny because she's not that aggressive yet. You know, she trains with Cobrinha, and Cobrinha was saying that he said, "Oh no, you know, I tell her to grab the gi, and she kind of comes over and you know goes like this, real gentle." So you need to make her like a thug jitsu video for her. So be like, oh, come on, this is what you need to do. Because then he said she got a little better, but we need to teach her to like get in there, man, and get it. You know,
just grabbing on the kids and flicking them around.
Yeah, you know, because she's strong. Like if she wanted to, she could be a wrecking machine in there. But she's polite. You know, she's pretty polite. But you know, Tyron Woodley, the first time I met you, actually really met you, I think I'd spoken to you maybe in an interview beforehand. But you know, we all went out to lunch with T Wood. And, you know, he's got a big fight coming up with Kelvin Gastelum. You know, it's interesting. I know I'd love to hear your perspective because the whole thing that went down with Hector and Tyron and everybody wanted them to fight and then they don't fight and stuff. So did you, you saw where T Wood was coming from on that one where he was like, I trained with him, we're same school, I don't want to fight him?
I definitely see where he's coming from with that. And I mean, Hector's the kind of guy, Hector will fight anybody. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Tyron, he's one of those guys like, initially, when Tyron started fighting, I was asking, would you fight Ben? And that was not something that was on the table for him. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's still that way, but those guys haven't been as close for the past 4 or 5 years as they were for the previous 5 years. You know what I mean? So things change in that regard. Tyron and Hector, they train together in the same room. There are times when they get together for sparring. In the past, when someone had Tyron maybe fighting a southpaw or Hector was fighting a wrestler of Tyron's caliber. And I completely understand that. If it's not going to lead to a title, I understand Tyron. It's not going to get me a title shot. I don't want to fight this guy. If it's not going to get me a title or a title shot, I don't want to fight my teammate. You know what I mean? Hector, on the other hand, he's like, I just want to fight everybody.
I want to fight anybody, everybody.
Like, Hector doesn't care if you're 125 pounds or 245 pounds. He wants to fight. You know what I mean? So I know where both sides are coming from. But I'm in the same side as Tyron. I'm like, why? There's no point. You know, you guys can do that every day and help each other get better. And if you're not going to get what we're all fighting for out of it, then why do it?
Yeah. You know what I always love when you would go to your weigh-ins? Well, when did you start with the snacking at the weigh-in? because it's so rude. It's so fantastic. He goes up there, and it was funny because you were on. I was doing the weigh-in show the other day when you were on, and we started talking. You know, we do it live, and I'm like, I think it's a yogurt covered pretzel today, folks. I'm pretty sure it's yogurt pretzels. And then you handed one over, and I was like, I got it. Like we called it from the studio. But when did you start with that? Because I think it's hilarious.
I really don't remember. I really don't remember. I think it was
bars. You've gone up there with a bag of chips.
Yeah, I really can't remember. It was a couple years ago. I don't remember if it was. I think it was before I even left the UFC and went to Pride.
Yeah.
So it was like something that happened off and on. But
classic.
But as I came back, it became my signature.
It's so funny because the other guy's like, son of a bitch, because like, you know, people are breaking their back trying to make weight, and you go up there snacking. I just loved it. You know, obviously, the obvious questions are like, are fights of yours that stand out? Because on your record, technically it says what, 66 fights or something, but are there more than that?
Yeah, definitely, there are more than that. I put up a highlight video on YouTube a couple of years ago. I found it, my first highlight video. I mean, like, I remember stacking 2 VCRs together and hooking a tape deck up to it to get the sound to play right. But that fight, none of those fights are on none of those fights show up on my record. You know, and there's at least 10 fights on that video. Yeah, it was a time. It was a completely different time, man. It was a time when I would go with my friends to their fights, and I would bring my stuff just in case. You know, and
awesome.
I had a lot of fights like that. I fought guys that were like, I fought 225-pound men when I was like 19. You know, but yeah, it was fun. It was a different time, though. I mean, you know, it sounds crazy now when you look at what MMA is now, but it wasn't the same then. You know, back then it was like some kid from now going into a bar and just fighting somebody. You know, because. We had the knowledge, they just had the size.
Yeah.
But yeah, the game, it's so much fun watching the game change, you know.
Well, also though, looking back, when you do look back on some of those old Pride fights and stuff, I mean, it's insane. I can't believe people are allowed to just soccer kick somebody in the head. Like, I think about that now. I'm like, oh, that's brutal. That's brutal. But those fights are so exciting to watch when you watch like Shogun and Vandy and Rampage, you know, like kicking ass back then.
It was so much. It was so violent back then.
It really was.
But it was so much fun. I remember going to Pride and thinking to myself, that was one. That's probably. That's another, not like a real disappointment, but it's something that I wish that I got to do, was soccer kick somebody else in Pride. I know that sounds vicious and that's horrible, but the 2 Pride fights, man, I just wish I would have had the opportunity to get one.
Yeah.
I almost got stomped in my fight with Hansen. It was really loud and you know, it got cheers like it hit, but it missed, fortunately. But that would have been brutal. I didn't realize. I mean, I knew I moved my head during the fight, but I watched it on tape. I just watched it a couple months ago, and I was like, I was one of those wincing moments when I was like, that would have been bad. You know, and I'm not even thinking it's me under there. I'm just thinking that would have been a bad thing.
That poor sucker, man.
Now, did anyone get really hurt from any soccer kicks to the head?
I don't think there was ever any like super serious injuries or anybody going to the hospital for anything more than a concussion. But it even just looks brutal.
It looks so brutal.
I think it was Mark Coleman, and I can't remember who, but it was a jiu-jitsu guy, and it could have even been it wasn't a Gracie.
Yeah.
But it was a black belt from Brazil. I can't remember who it was. But he just sprawled on that guy's shot and just kneed him in the head from north-south. And the fight was over, and like, you know, after like the 4th or 5th knee. That's crazy to think about now.
Yeah.
You know, you could never put that on television.
No, you couldn't.
Not live. You can watch what's happened in the past now.
Right.
That couldn't be live on television now.
No. No, they have to. Well, they have to be cautious. You know, I think even on Fox sometimes, like if it's just really bloody fight, you know what I mean? Like don't zoom in too much, because you know if you're just channel surfing by and you saw a close up of Leslie Smith's ear hanging off her head or something, like whoa,
No, I had to stop the fights every time my wife or my kids walk in. Like, you know, my wife walks in like, oh, I'm just coming to get something.
That bad.
No. Well,
it's crazy because, yeah, the fights, they're not, I mean, I guess, there's some brutality to it, but it's nothing like that. Right. You know, it's nothing like getting soccer kicked or kneed in the head while you're on the mat. But
so what are the rules?
Yeah, I mean the blood. Yeah, it could get bloody, but I mean, you know, kids go to horror movies nowadays.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right. No,
but,
I mean, it was
things gross.
Yeah, no, it's gross, and you could do. I mean, because you could do soccer kicks, you could knee down to opponent. I mean, you can do everything basically except eye poke and
elbow.
And yeah, exactly, right. Crazy.
What were the good old days when you could do the eye poke and the fish hook?
It's called the schoolyard. Yeah.
Yeah, that was back in like UFC 3 when UFC, was it 2 or 3? Guy Metzger and the other guy, I forget the other guy's name. They were pulling each other's hair.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, it's actually Big John McCarthy has a pretty interesting book about the early days of the UFC and how it all came together and stuff. Definitely worth reading if people wanted to check it out. Do you remember, because like you said, you know, on your last fight against Areola, you don't really remember what happened. So on some of these fights, are there just dark days where you're like, oh, I fought so and so, I didn't know that, or whatever, or like look back on one of your own fights and like, hey, I was pretty good.
No. I remember, of course, I remember all of my fights, but I just recently I've noticed that I've started to forget, not started to forget, but I don't remember all of my opponents' names. Okay. You know what I mean? I was trying to remember a guy I fought, and I couldn't remember, and finally it took me a couple of days to remember his name was Corey, but I don't remember his last name. Yeah. Just a couple things like that, you know? But I remember almost every fight. I was thinking about that today. I've been listening to this podcast called Serial, and they're talking about remembering things from years ago.
Yeah, I've heard of that one, right?
It's pretty good. And so I was thinking, trying to remember the past, and I was like, yeah, that's true, significant days. Mm-hmm. But I can remember reasonable portions of days of almost every single fight that I've had. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I can remember like the weigh-ins before fighting Joe Stevenson. Mm-hmm. You know, I can remember Ding Dong ditching Don Fry's door back at a Powering Warriors fight back in Dallas, Texas in like '98. You know, little things like that. Yeah. So fortunately, I've been able to keep my memory, and that's probably a good reason to not get hit in the head anymore.
I guess so. Yeah.
But man, it's I love the old days of fighting still.
And why do you think it is? You know, you bring up Joe Daddy Stevenson. Like, what is it about you that's made you last as long as you have? Because a lot of these guys are gone. You know, when you look back, if you look at your fight record, a lot of the people that you fought dropped out a long time ago. You know, so how come you were able to stay in it?
I think part of it was probably not taking a lot of beatings. Yeah. You know, a lot of the fights that I lost were early, especially were just grab that guy and hold him down and slow him down. Mm-hmm. You know, I had good movement and good speed, especially early, and so I didn't take a lot of damage. I think everybody that does this loves it. I don't think you ever really get tired of it. I've heard from guys, you know, Mike Brown. I've heard about Chris Lytle, like missing it. Yeah. I know Mike misses it, but he's comfortable where he's at because he's around it every day. Mm-hmm. But you still miss the fight. I heard a little bit about Chris really missing it, but like and Chris, man, like his exit was amazing. You know, I'll always be envious of that because that was beautiful. You know, that was a great night. That was like a storybook. You know,
right.
But I don't know. I was just fortunate, you know, to not take a whole lot of beatings and be able to keep some of my speed and feel good about it for a really long time. I think it's just now those things are starting to. So I guess those things are finally starting to add up. You know, they're starting to meet me. It's weird. It's like since it's official, I like notice things. I'm like, oh yeah, that hurts a little bit. You know, So it's weird. But I'm not old yet. I'm not officially old until I don't like. I'm like a germaphobe. So like in public bathrooms or urinals, I never flush them with my hand.
You're right. Yeah, I know.
I always flush it with my foot. So I just stick the foot up there and push the thing, and I'm officially old when my leg I can't lift my leg.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can flush a urinal with your foot.
Yeah, you can?
I can't.
Oh, Pete.
I gotta go.
It's funny you say that, because I literally sometimes just, like, if I have stuff in my hands, I'm like, oh, I need to turn off the light, and I'll turn it off with my foot. And it's funny that you say that, because literally I'll be like, the day I can't still do this is going to be a problem, because I feel like I'm still pretty agile and everything like that. And that
So you can turn off a light switch
totally,
with your foot?
Yeah, because I'll have, like, stuff in my hand or whatever, and so I'm like, let me just, I just kind of kick it up.
I'm going to start stretching out. That's my goal. My goal is to be able to walk and go, hey!
Yeah, totally. And I actually, that's one thing I have noticed. My flexibility going, I've been playing a lot more tennis and I don't always stretch as much, and it's like that quick fire muscle. So I have gotten more tense, so I've been trying to bring it back, because I used to still be able to do a split not that long ago and all this stuff. And that I've noticed, but I can still turn off a light with my foot. So, I got that going for me.
I can touch my toes.
You can, oh, really?
Does that buy me anything?
You can now, while you're sitting in a chair, you can touch his toes. It's ridiculous.
About as good as I get.
Is that about as good as you can get? I wanted to ask you if you would play a little bit of praise or pummel with us. There's one topic I wanted to bring up with you especially. Praise or pummel is where we have something that's kind of pop culture or something in the fight world, and if we like how it's going down, we praise it. If we don't like it, we pummel it. And especially for you being around so long, I wanted to ask how you feel about the UFC signing CM Punk, obviously formerly in the WWE, big-time pro wrestler. And he's going to come to the UFC and debut with a fight in 2015. I'm curious if you praise that or you pummel that.
Don't know the guy at all.
Yeah.
I haven't. I've never watched pro wrestling. I've heard the name, and I completely understand the publicity aspect of it. It's a big name, and it'll definitely bring some wrestling fans over just to see how it goes. But to do that, you can't. And I understand the math behind it. You can't give that guy somebody that's established. You've got to give him somebody at his level at the very best.
Right.
And I understand that part. The part of it that of course that hurts me or that I'm all about pummeling is the UFC. The UFC is the NFL of fighting. You know what I mean? The UFC is the pinnacle of fighting, and when it's an exclusive club, basically. Yeah. And up until this signing, you had to earn the right to be there. You know what I mean? Even the kids on the Ultimate Fighter, they had to earn the right to be there. The guy has no fights. He's never fought before. I know he wrestled amateur. I assume he wrestled amateur because I know he wrestles pro. Yeah. But it's kind of disheartening when you don't have to earn your way there. You can get there on a name. And if you can get there on a name, I saw an article about it, and I'm totally for it because that guy brings fans too. Let him fight Jason David Frank. Right. The Green Power Ranger. Right. I'm pummeling it, I guess, because I understand the publicity aspect of it, but no, man, you have to earn. You have to earn that. That means something. There's a value to earning that. Yeah. Yeah, I can't. I'm not buying it.
So you're getting a pummel. All right, Pete. What about you?
I gotta agree. That's a total pummel for me because listen, he's got 2.3 million Twitter followers, so it's pretty, so it's pretty obvious, that they brought him in for his fan base. But it's like one thing that separates the UFC from boxing is that you do have to earn it, and I mean, if you're going to start bringing in people for their Twitter followers, bring in Mario Lopez. Why not? He would
love that. I'm sure Mario would love it.
But, so I think it was short-sighted. I think it was very short-sighted, and they just put a little bit of a blemish on. But listen, I did see the guy in the interview after the fights. he's going about it the right way.
Right.
You know, he's not being, you know, he wants to try it. He understands it's going to be a lot of work. So nothing against him for doing what he's got to do.
Absolutely.
I just don't think that, I agree. You got to earn the right to be in the UFC.
I think what you just said emphasizes my point in that he's going about it the right way as far as he wants to train and learn what's going on and understand the sport completely and get the experience. But you I heard Dana say this. I heard this come from Dana's mouth on the day of the weigh-ins when I fought Cody McKenzie.
Yeah.
God, I won't be able to quote it, so I'm gonna have to paraphrase because I can't remember exactly what the words were. But
Right.
I think Joe was pointing out fights to him what he's excited about, and it came to me and Cody McKenzie. Dana said something along the lines of, "This is USC. This ain't a place to gain experience."
Right.
You know,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, not a place to gain experience. It's something about it being a Shark
Right.
Tank and it's you have to prove this is not the place where you're gonna get easy fights
Right.
and learn how to do this. This is where you come to show that you know what you're doing. You know, that was basically the statement. I'm sure the phrase will hit me when we're not talking, but I distinctly remember that happened.
Well, I'm going to take the other side of it though, because I'm going to praise this because I've met CM Punk. Okay, I'm not a wrestling fan. I didn't he came to one of the shows and he's friends with Chael. You know what I mean? So he came over to say hey at the desk and everything, and really cool guy. So I met him, and obviously I know who he is or whatever. But yeah, I couldn't tell you if he was a good pro wrestler or bad. I don't know from pro wrestling. But I will say this: he real good guy, massive fight fan, and he does train. I mean, that was the whole thing. You know, he's training with the Gracies, and he's trained, other stuff. Because the reason, a lot of people like about him, they're like, hey, if there ever was going to be somebody else who could cross over besides Brock, CM Punk is the guy, because I guess, the way he would wrestle fight was closer to real fights or something like that. And people have trained with him and known that he actually has trained consistently for a long time. So for that, I'm excited because, for him specifically, maybe if it was somebody other pro wrestler, I might have been like, no.
Yeah,
but I agree with you. I agree with you that you need to earn your stripes. I mean, listen, I hope they give him a real fighter. I don't know if it's going to be the Power Ranger guy, and I don't know who I would put him with, because I guess they said he might fight at middleweight.
Well, he said he's going to fight somebody who's 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, but so give him somebody real. Don't
Power
give somebody to
1-0.
dive. Give him a real fight.
Jason's 1-0.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
1-0, bro.
Now, do you think he's going to be shocked when before the fight he goes up to the other fighter and goes, okay, so how's this going to work?
Yeah, there's no
We're going to
script.
dance around each other for a minute, and then you take me down, and then I'll come around.
Dude, that was off script. Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And it's... The bad thing is that people are like, oh yeah, the UFC's dying, they're in trouble, and they need this, for publicity and to get crossover fans. Might be true, but if that makes other people watch it, there's no way you would ever watch one of your fights and go, this isn't for me. If you liked pro wrestling and you are just now coming to watch an MMA fight, there's no way you're going, meh.
All right.
You know what I mean? Once you're there, you're staying.
I think the opposite. I think if you don't know what MMA, if you're a pro wrestling fan and you don't know what MMA is because you don't want to at this point. You know what I mean?
Okay, I see your point.
Because I saw it a few years ago, and my friend Todd Moore, he's like, and so is my manager Dan Lambert.
Yeah.
They love pro wrestling. And it freaks me out, but
I agree with you.
Yeah, totally.
It's all fake, right?
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it.
But I've seen some of the things that they watch, and Todd would send me messages and just video clips, and those guys are using MMA jiu-jitsu moves.
Right.
And the commentators are mentioning it's an arm bar or a knee bar or a heel hook or whatever they're doing, and it's like, if there's that much MMA in what you're doing, I don't know if there's any double legs or if they're throwing any leg kicks or anything like that. But even if it's just jiu-jitsu in what you're doing, then and what you're watching, and you're watching it as much as those pro wrestling fans watch pro wrestling, you have to have an idea of what MMA is.
Right.
And if you're not interested in it, I mean, if you're not watching it, it's because you're not interested, because it's on it's on TV now. Yeah. It's not like, it's on TV now.
I
like
guess
you
it's
turn
true.
the TV on and watch MMA.
You see, you know the real stuff is here, and yet you still keep choosing the fake stuff.
Yeah, you still watch the fake stuff.
I know, but they like it because of the characters and this and that. If again,
then steal the characters.
No, that's the whole thing about Conor McGregor. He is a character. He has made himself somebody that you want to watch. So if other fighters can learn that from pro wrestlers, granted, somebody's not going to write it for you, but listen, everything Chael did was pro wrestling.
So what they do is they put CM Punk's fight, his first fight, on the same card as Conor McGregor.
Ooh, see, that would be good.
Pro wrestling fans that are watching CM Punk see Conor McGregor.
Well, this could work.
That's gonna happen.
And I think, you know what, because Conor's fighting in January. Wait, say that again?
I said Fox needs to hire me to plan these things out.
That's fine. Yeah, come on. I'll put a good word in. Send me your CV. But yeah, no, Conor's fighting in January, and I know he wants to fight sort of around May or so. So there could be a card by then. CM Punk could be ready to go. I like what you're thinking.
See, why not put CM Punk on the Ultimate Fighter? Then you get all those fans watching.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
And then you introduce them to, what, 12 new fighters or 20 new fighters? And then if the guy's good and he earns it, then he earns it.
That's not a terrible idea.
And so basically you get the publicity and you don't piss off, the diehard.
All right, that's not a bad idea.
I think that's not a bad idea, but I think what happens is when you're in the house and that guy with the biggest name, everybody's gunning for him. He's going to be the first fight, and if he loses right away,
you're right.
The whole season's ruined.
You're right. So much to do, but you know what? Actually, Yves, have you ever done commentating? Because now that you got free time.
Yeah, now I've got all the free time in the world. I spent last week, the last 3 days of last week, trying not to be all mopey about it and try to enjoy my retirement. Pretend like I was retired for a week.
Well, yeah, I would wonder what you do like the first day you wake up, and you don't grab your bag and go to the gym. Like, what'd you do?
Literally, when I was healed up and ready to go, and I woke up and I went, well, I don't have to go to the gym today. I went back to sleep.
You did?
Well, yeah, that was probably the most miserably boring day I've had in a long time.
Did you get drunk?
No, but
I would have. I think
I watched daytime television. Daytime television is really bad.
Wait a minute, so soon? Daytime television isn't supposed to be until month 3.
You went right down the crapper, day 1.
All right, listen. I've had a 17-year career of being fairly lazy, so I'm going to help you out. But daytime television, that's too soon. You're going to crash.
Too soon.
Are you in your underwear right now? Did you even put on pants for the interview?
Yeah, I had to go out and do some things because I couldn't stay in. I couldn't stay in all day.
Oh my God! Well, at least now you have time. Pick up one of those instead of daytime TV. Pick up like an old show like The Shield or something. Get like all 8 seasons of a show. Binge.
I started watching The Wire.
All right, there you go. The Wire is great.
The Wire. So I want to watch that.
Nice, very nice. Any idea? Pizza writer. So that means he's had some free time over the years. Did you? No, writers choose their own hours, Pete. You don't have to clock in for the man, is what I'm saying.
All right, I do have to tell you a funny thing. So I have a friend, and he was at this pretentious New York party where everyone's wearing black turtlenecks, and he meets some guy, and the guy goes, "I'm a writer," and he goes, "Oh, have you been published?" And the guy goes, "Well, no, well, not yet." And he goes, "Oh, well, I guess I'm a writer too then."
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's great.
That is awesome.
I wish you the best the best in your future endeavors. If you're coaching a champ, or you're putting out thug jitsu videos or books, or you go on a world tour, if you do, and I said this to you when I was texting you, like, you know, whenever you're out here in LA, you got to let me know and hang. And if you want to film some stuff or just hang out and get stupid, let us know.
Sounds like a plan.
We'll show you how to do lazy right.
Yeah, exactly. Very cool.
It's hard to be lazy in California.
Yeah,
So
it's real easy.
That's another thing. Everybody in California is hustling, and it's just, the weather's always nice. It's hard to be lazy in California, you know?
Yeah, it's nice here.
I spent a little time there this summer, and it was hot, but it's just the nights, like, even when the days are really hot, the nights are nice. Here in Texas, when the days are hot, the nights are muggy.
Right.
No, we got it good out here. And you have that Bahamian blood. You know, I got the Jamaican thing going, so I like it hot. I need it. Actually, sometimes it's not hot enough for me out here. But that's just me.
I got Scottish. I just need to be in a dark bar somewhere.
Nice. Well, you know, thank you so much for everything that you've done over the years. Literally, your first fight, well, the one, like I said, the one that's published on your record, first fight is 1997.
That's incredible.
That's amazing.
That's incredible.
That's amazing. So, so really, thank you for entertaining us all these years. We really appreciate it. And yeah, I just wish you the best in everything.
Thank you, Karyn. Thanks so much.
All right.
Man.
So,
we'll see you soon. So how cool is he?
Very cool.
The guy is awesome. I love him.
He needs help in being lazy.
Yeah, I know. And you're the guy for the job.
I have a lot of expertise in that. In fact, you know, I think people sometimes wonder why I'm on this podcast, and I think it's my expertise in talking to recently retired fighters on how to use their afternoons.
That is it. And I didn't mean to be, I didn't mean to belittle you as a writer, because I actually know that you do write, and I actually do know that it's quite difficult because.
I'll give you $1 if you put down those quotations now.
Yeah, totally. We started to do Praise or Pummel, and there was one other one that I wanted to get to with you, and that is the latest promo for the John Jones Daniel Cormier fight, which they aired the other night during the pay-per-view and everything. And you know, I'm gonna kill. So they show the behind-the-scenes stuff, which is fantastic, from when they were on ESPN and they didn't think the cameras were still rolling, and they're talking so much crap to each other, and then they come on camera and they do their bit on camera, and DC just can't believe how fake John is, and they have the cut together the famous fight and the shoe throwing and everything. A new promo. I'll let you go first. Are you praising that new promo, or are you pummeling that?
I'm totally praising it. I've never been so psyched for a fight now.
Really?
That is how you hype a fight.
You think?
No, that is real. Those two guys do not like each other.
No, they don't.
And I'm totally.
You didn't think it was a little much? Maybe I'm tipping my hat here as to where I'm going, but
listen, if after the fight they both give each other a hug or a handshake and give each other respect, then no, it was not too much. If after the fight, somebody acts like Tito did, with sort of still being a jerk after he wins, then it was too much. But no, man, I mean, come on. I'm so psyched to see this. I mean, now, why do you think it's too much?
Okay, so you're praising it.
I'm totally
Obviously.
praising it.
Yeah, I'm pummeling this. I was watching it we were watching the fights with some friends, and this comes on, and you know, I'm as entertained as anyone with the whole back and forth behind the scenes and then the real stuff. I just don't like the close-up who's like, I will kill you if you spit on me. And then he's like, no, I will really spit. No, I will literally kill you. Dun, dun, dun. I was like, okay, let's not equate fighting with actual murder here, okay? I thought it went a little too far in the I will kill you and the violence of what they do in there. It's martial arts, okay? I would still like there to be some of the art in there, and I just thought it got to, if I was trying to tell other mothers, hey, no, it's cool, come, you should watch UFC, it's violent, but it's like controlled, and you know, it's just in the octagon, and then they saw that promo. I mean, I'm not squeamish, obviously. I cover the fights for a living. I just thought I would like less murderous overtones. There weren't even undertones, because it was heavy-handed, like, watch one of these black men kill the other one. I mean, literally, that's what it should have said. Ferguson,
So-
New York, Staten Island, watch another black man die. Like, that's what I felt like I was watching. It felt like it felt way too violent and way too murder.
So, are you pummeling the people who put together the promo by leaving that stuff in? Are you pummeling John Jones, who was really the one who was giving the threats?
No. I'm pummeling the promo cutting. You know, what you actually say to each other, that's whatever. You know what I mean? And that doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me that they've said it to each other, you know, because I know they really don't like each other. And it bothers me that it's upsetting to me that they hate each other that much or whatever. But it bothers me that the promo, that their fight is being sold on the potential of murder. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't like.
Okay, now, what do you think about DC saying on camera, this guy's so fake?
I know.
I mean, DC was really the one who brought the behind the scenes to the forefront.
Because he's so frustrated. Like, DC is a guy that is not... DC's a pretty what you see is what you get guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? To his credit. And I think he's genuinely, like... mind blown that somebody can be that.
He did give a great backhanded compliment. It's like, man, that's amazing how fake you can be.
Yeah, like I think he comes from a world where people are, you know, much more transparent, and that I think he's like, yes, like in awe of how gifted John is at playing the duality. Right. Which a lot of people have said. You know, DC's not the only one who has said that about John. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, listen, the stuff that they were saying to each other was, I mean...
So where did the animosity start between these two?
A long time ago, DC, John, like they met backstage somewhere, and I guess John said to DC something like, "Oh, I bet I could take you down," and DC felt disrespected by that, and it started from there. Because I think he thought John was kind of like this young punk, you know, stepping to him. He's like, "Hey, I went to the Olympics and everything, and now you're just like, oh, you went to the Olympics, but I could take you down." I think he thought it was just kind of cocky. Right. And it was the first thing they said, and John was kind of said he was playing around. But, you know, if you don't know somebody, you know, maybe you can't understand the joke or the non-joke. But I'm pretty sure that that's where it started. And then it just kind of went from there, and you know, like I said, I've said this before, I work with DC a lot, you know, and he's very focused on this. And the promo is just a little too far for me.
I think it's a fair point. I'm still praising it though. Oh my God.
I know. I'm saying it got me hyped up, but it just was a little. It's going to be great.
But you bring up a good point of, you know, what's been happening lately.
Yeah. Maybe even if it had aired at a different time. It was a little.
Yeah. By the way, that video out of New York,
dude.
I mean. With Ferguson, you could say there was a little ambiguity. Yeah. There was a little he said, she said. There's no ambiguity.
Selling Lucy's on the street and you're going to get killed for that? Like, that's ridiculous.
There's 5 cops surrounding him. He's unarmed and he dies on camera.
Right. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
There's no decision. Somebody's got to pay for that.
You would think.
There's 5. They had him completely surrounded.
I know.
Use a stun gun and handcuff him. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's. I know. And so anyway. Because last week we talked about, you know, the salute.
Right, yeah, with the Rams. Right.
And I thought that was putting some, you know, putting gasoline on a fire that maybe it would have helped if we had sort of let it simmer down now. Right. But this one, with all sort of the protests going on, I say, like, this one, go for it.
I mean,
you gotta, you know, go for it. Because that's a crime. We all saw it.
Yeah, we all saw it. I know. I don't understand how how they got away with that. I don't get it.
You know, Jon Stewart, I think, brought up a great point. It's like that you got, you know, the prosecutors have to work with the cops. Mm-hmm. So does a prosecutor want to get a cop and, you know,
right?
I mean, you know, 99% of the stuff that goes in front of a grand jury goes on to trial, and the fact that we've now seen 2 in a row that got that 1% verdict, you know, it's a little, and
it's just hard, like you said, when it seems so obvious and clear, and the fact that you could still just get away with choking a dude to death on the street.
Wait.
Peanut gallery? What?
No, I'm just saying, it was definitely heavy-handed. But the weight of his own body is what killed him. Because anyone truly getting choked out would not be able to say, I can't breathe. Because if you're getting choked, if you've taken jiu-jitsu ever, and someone applies a choke, you can't say, that's why you tap. You can't, you wouldn't be able to say, I can't.
So now it's a direct result of them.
If he hadn't weighed as much, he would not have been dead.
But that's not his fault. It's not a crime to weigh that much when you're getting choked out by the cops.
Here's the thing.
I'm just saying that the weight of his own body is what killed him. The cops didn't kill him.
Well, the cop's arm around his neck, sort of cutting off his windpipe.
It was heavy-handed, but the whole incident was because of the weight of his body collapsing his lung.
Well, you know what I didn't like too is that you have this really large dude, and then 5 cops surrounding him, and one dude goes in with like a Napoleon complex, and it's like he didn't have to be manhandled at that point. Like you had him surrounded. Like there was no, like you don't have to go in and hey, I'm going to try this new move I learned at cop school.
You got him.
And and it was such like this little Napoleon complex thing of like let me take down the bigger, and so. You know what? Sure, maybe the weight of his body, and maybe if he hadn't been so heavy, he wouldn't have died, but you shouldn't have done it in the first place. I mean, it was ridiculous. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Wait, you don't speak for this, broadcast.
It's the weight of oppression. It was the weight of oppression on that man.
There you go. Now, it's going to be really interesting to see, because anyone who sees that video, unless unless they're Rudy Giuliani or somebody at Fox News. Am I allowed to rag on Fox News if you're on
Fox Sports is different than Fox News.
Okay. I mean, anyone can clearly see that there was a major mistake down there. So anyway, I got to tell you about my.
What?
By the way, there's somebody. You know what? And I wanted to. There's somebody.
He's talking about his
there's
comments.
somebody who wrote in the comments.
In the meanwhile,
section.
while he's looking, I'm going to let you guys know that Christmas, Hanukkah. Coming, if you guys want to get some On It stuff to amp yourself up for 2015, go to MMAheat.com/onit, ONNIT, and you can get yourself some, hey, look, we even have a product. We brought it for Pete. Pete's going to be much better on the next podcast,
That's
folks.
right. That's right.
Because I took my Alpha Brain today.
That's right, Cody Davis.
Yeah. So, get your Alpha Brain, get your, I took my new mood last night again. Whack. I had some really crazy, awesome dreams. You wake up. You wake up
like
and
hallucinatory.
But it's interesting because it's like it's just different stuff that I hadn't thought about in a long time.
So you're pitching mind-altering jokes here.
Yeah, but I didn't. It's not. I don't remember. It's one of those things you don't necessarily remember what I dreamed about, but I just remember waking up going like, that was interesting. You know what I mean? It's kind of fun. But this stuff is great, and we can get you 10% off there if you go to MMAheat.com/onit. And this is free. So
Yeah. So basically.
So what happened in the comments?
Yeah. So basically, this guy Cody Davis, he says he's never going to watch his podcast again.
Goodbye, Cody.
And so. And so he starts typing and it's normal, Cody. Like, I'm not going to watch it because Pete sucks. And then he's apparently so angry he has to put on his caps lock because then everything else is
and then he was yelling.
I'll never watch it again. And it's I really think that if there had been something that suggests tone of voice, that's what they need. For people who really hate me, they need more than caps lock. You should be able to do alt tone of voice too, or something so not only am I yelling, but I'm extremely angry and violent, and I'm hitting the violent key too.
People get really pretty violently mad at you, Pete. What is it? Really? What?
I'm gonna have to say jealousy.
Pete's,
it's the looks. It's I mean, I got the whole package. I got the white beard, the crooked teeth, the looks, the stutter, as a couple people pointed out. I really got the.
I didn't notice.
The slouching, the man boobs, the pastiness, the absolute lack of knowledge. I mean, who wouldn't want? But now I've got Alpha Brain.
That's gonna change.
So I do have to tell you. So I watch the fights.
Yeah.
And I am proud to say that I was the most knowledgeable person at my table.
Nice.
At my table. It was just one other friend of mine who's.
So you were the most knowledgeable at your table. With one other.
And it kind of felt good because he didn't know anything, so I could say things like, "Well, there's 3 rounds unless it's a championship fight, and then we go 5. What if it's the last fight of the evening on the card?"
So great.
But so anyway, he gets there. And first of all, he has a posh English accent.
Right, and you went to a legit sports bar.
I went to a legit sports bar where it's all people watching a fight. So, so he shows up with like his posh English, English, accent, and ascot, and like, oh, is this somewhat like cricket? And then the waitress asks him, what he wants, and he orders a white wine. And I'm like, dude,
I am not on a date here, man.
Are you kidding? Are you trying to get our asses kicked? Like, I really think that's the first white wine that's ever been ordered. Watching a UFC fight.
Because I've been to that place and I go whiskey straight. I mean, vodka straight. I don't drink white wine.
Dude,
at fight night.
White wine. First of all, if you're a guy at a bar ordering white wine, that's embarrassing enough. If you're a guy watching a UFC fight ordering white wine and you have a British accent and you're wearing an ascot, he probably wasn't wearing an ascot. I'd probably thrown that in, but
Just for good measure. No, man. Wow. But it was fun.
And the nice thing is that I was the most knowledgeable there. He was asking me all these questions.
Especially when Travis got up there, you're like, I just talked to that dude last week,
Oh yeah.
Travis likes to hunt in his meantime. Yeah,
I did a little name dropping.
You did? And then he kicked some butt, so Travis looked great. He looked great. Yeah, it was fun. That was fun. It was good.
But I want to see if Cody Davis watch. I think Cody Davis can't help but watch this.
Now he's hate watching. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what's an asshole going to do? I'm going to pound my keyboard. Come on,
somebody
Cody.
get Cody a new keyboard for Christmas because he's about to.
You know you love this guy. You know you love me. I do not love you.
And I hate myself.
Oh, yes, Mom, I'll be up for dinner in just a second. God. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, Pete. So, I'm going to, actually, big week for us. I want to wrap it up here, but big week. I am going to Phoenix for the Junior Dos Santos Stipe Miocic fight. I'm psyched. We got a Nate Diaz is on the card. So it's going to be actually going to be some fun fights. Stefan Struve coming back, and I'm going to be talking to Stefan later tonight. So folks could look out for that interview. With the Skyscraper. Look for it on youtube.com/Karyn Bryant, or just go to the MMA Heat fan page on Facebook. So that's exciting. That's Saturday night. But Friday, we have the Ultimate Fighter finale. So we will see which woman becomes the new strawweight champion. So on Wednesday night, we get the quarterfinals, and it's going to be Rose versus Randa and Carla versus Jessica to see who makes it to the actual finale. And we're going to have we already recorded this. It's going to be great. It's a reunion show. We brought back 6 of the competitors from the Ultimate Fighter. A champion will be crowned, so you guys can look for that.
You should take 6 of the competitors and then 6 Real Housewives from Atlanta and just have it a cross reunion.
My money would totally be on the little 115-pounders. Yeah. Those girls are scrappy.
But wouldn't you love to see them?
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, totally. Girl,
I'll tell you. Arm bar.
Pulling weaves, right? It'd all be about the pulling of the weaves. So Wednesday we don't have UFC tonight because I'm pretty sure we're doing like a marathon of Ultimate Fighter, and then there's going to be that last one, and then we'll have an Ultimate Fighter finale reunion show. And then the fights are Friday, and then we have the other fights on Saturday. So it's a great weekend to be a fight fan.
Cool.
Yeah. And they'll probably see that John Jones promo a few more times. 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. They may as well have had Battle Dome and Tina Turner. And
the way they go really close, I will kill you. And it gets all pixelated.
It is awesome. The one part of me is like, oh, it's awesome. The other part of me is that's
it's
wrong.
Funny.
It's wrong.
It's wrong. I'll bet they killed a couple endorsement possibilities for John Jones. I mean,
doesn't matter now. Everybody's going to be at Reebok next year. We'll see. It's another story, Pete. We got to go.
I'm really late on the story.
Yeah. Anyway, folks, you can find Pete on Twitter at
MindNoogie.
You can find me at Karyn Bryant, KarynBryant. That's on Twitter. On Instagram, I'm KB Heat. Are you on the gram?
I am. I don't really.
Yeah, I don't even think I follow you, so yeah, you're not on it. Yeah, KB Heat on Instagram, and like I said, join our Facebook fan page over at MMA Heat. We got a lot of good stuff up there, so it's gonna be fun. Thanks for watching, and thanks again to Mr. Edwards. He's awesome.
Yeah, very cool.
Cool. See you next time, guys. All right, Pete, that was fun. See you next time.
See ya. All right, I actually need that on. Nailed it!